like the clouds are swooping in. Hopefully it doesn't start raining. And what did I read today? How about we start off with some, I guess, rumors or leaks, whatever you want to call it. Apparently there's a new DJI Avata coming out, the Avata 2. And if these specs and pictures are to believe, it says here for the Avata 2, the camera is a 1.3 CMOS 48 megapixels, 4K, 2.7K, 60, 100, and 120 FPS. I guess that would be useful, for example, if you're trying to shoot, for example, I guess, high action sports and all that. At the same time, it can go as high as 240 FPS at FHD. It has D-Log, Rocksteady, and so forth, which is useful, I guess, when you're flying. You don't want shaky footage and all that. And as well, for the weight of it, it's 458 grams. So unfortunately, in a lot of places, you would have to register this and all that, versus if the drone was under 250 grams. And as well, there's the release of the DJI Goggles 3, where it says for this thing, it has OcuSync 4, 420 grams, and in terms of things like the frame rates, it's what, 60 FPS with a 2450 milliamp battery. So overall, a little bit of an upgrade. That's good, I guess, if anyone flies these type of drones, which you've seen more for sporting events and all that. People flying through things like golf courses, going inside buildings and out. And I've seen it a little bit more in terms of people using them for real estate purposes and all that. Would you be inclined to get this? Funny enough, when it comes to these type of drones, I was actually still interested in trying something like this, but I haven't yet actually seen something, I suppose, that would suit for what I would use it for on an everyday basis and all that. Because as you guys know, I actually use this stuff every day as much as I can anyway. So it'd be nice to have something, I would suppose, with less restrictions and all that, but at the same time give you that good quality footage and all that. And with that thought, in terms of bigger drones, how about this one? This one says, U of M developing drone airships to improve connectivity in the Arctic. The University of Manitoba has launched a new project to find unconventional and innovative ways to bring internet access to the Arctic. The project is called Arctic Community Connectivity for Equity, Sustainability and Service. The goal of the initiative is to find solutions to improve connectivity in Canada's north by creating a drone airship that will act as a satellite communications hub. This will improve safety for hunters and researchers, as well as search and rescue teams in remote areas. I've seen these type of things in other countries actually. For example, you could have something like just a regular blimp of sort just floating around in the air, giving people internet access in that way. It says, "This is us responding to the needs that we've heard with our Indigenous and Inuit collaborators and researchers that are saying they need better connectivity to support hunters and trappers on the ice and search and rescue," said Philip Ferguson, a UNM engineering professor who is leading the project. Ferguson said the team of researchers envisions an airship that can follow remote community members out onto the ice and provide them with a direct Starlink connection to their handsets. This will also give them an opportunity to contact healthcare professionals if they find themselves in a harmful situation, saying, "When we have better information, we make better decisions. But part of this project is understanding what that information needs to be." And it says, Ferguson said the team will begin with building miniature versions of the drones before scaling up. He said some of the big challenges will be assembling the airships in remote Arctic regions and determining how to operate with unpredictable weather. One of the first things actually is coming to my mind with this is things like the battery life and all that. How will that actually fare in a really cold environment? It's just like flying, for example, in a regular area that you're at, it looks perfectly fine or acts perfectly fine during normal weather, but as soon as it gets really cold, that battery dies pretty fast. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out in this case. And this was in the news a lot today, which actually might relate to things, for example, like that DJI Avata, because as you know, in the US, they're proposing things like a ban for things like DJI drones. So how about this one, where apparently another, I guess, company operating in China, they're basically passing a bill in the US apparently to ban things like TikTok. This one says, House passes bill that could ban TikTok in the US, sending it to the Senate. The House voted Wednesday to pass legislation that could ban TikTok in the US as Republicans and Democrats alike sound the alarm that the popular video sharing app owned by a China-based company is a national security threat. The vote was 352 to 65, with one member, Rep. Jasmine Crockett, D. Texas, voting present. The bill now heads to the Senate, where it faces an uncertain fate and there appears to be less urgency to act. And it says, quote, "Communist China is America's largest geopolitical foe and is using technology to actively undermine America's economy and security," Speaker Mike Johnson, RLA, said in a statement after the vote, warning that TikTok could be used to access American data and spread harmful information. Today's bipartisan vote demonstrated Congress's opposition to the Communist China's attempts to spy on and manipulate Americans and signals our resolve to deter our enemies. Now, it's one of those things where if you do it with this, where would it end? Can they do it to, I guess, other apps? Let's just say they're not, quote, I guess, operating or owned in China, for example. Could they do this with various apps and platforms that are in the US and all that too, I guess? Again, from reading this, I believe a lot of people are misinterpreting it, where this bill would automatically ban it from the US. That's it, it's gone. Just like how, let's just say, places like India have completely banned TikTok. To my understanding with this bill, it's supposed to be they have to sell the company to, let's just say, a non-China owned entity. So maybe someone in the US, like a business, or talks about Microsoft buying it or something like that. But at the same time, they're saying even if it did pass, China themselves would still have to actually approve, I guess, of the actual sale and all that. So you can imagine, I guess, all this, again, geopolitical stuff. But what would you think here? Do you think it's a, quote, national security threat of sort? Do you think they're banning it for other reason? And at the same time, this actually might relate to other things, as I mentioned, kind of like how in the US they want to ban companies like DJI, for example, because of that thought that they keep saying about security threats and all that. What would you think about this? All right, see you guys later.